All right, it's Belgium kit time. Everybody loves Belgium kits. Flashing LEDs, and who doesn't like flashing LEDs? How exciting. From Belgium. Made in Hong Kong. Okay, so let's get it onto a tray. Nice. Oh, come on. Got an easy way into this thing. Somebody put a bunch of tape on it. I got a tape residue on my knife. Yuck. Okay, let's take it off from this side. It'll be easier. Just open it up like a sardine can. Does anybody out there eat sardines? I'm not a big sardine fan. All right. But I need to get to the instructions because there might be a schematic. Oh, it might be a schematic. How exciting. It's like Christmas Day. Trying to get the package open and it won't. Hope everybody had a good Christmas. Santa brought them something that they wanted, could use. Ah, there we go. Oh, there we go. Schematic. Schematic. Look at that. Monostable multi-vibrator. Sounds like a sex toy. All right. We have the cross-coupled bases, and that should oscillate and go flashy, flash, 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 flash. So, BC547B NPN transistors. All right, I think we've seen enough of that. Let's build it. Okay, this is Velleman right on it. Single-sided board. Pretty cheap. Pretty fat though. Pretty fat board. It's definitely not FR4 though. It's something a little cheaper. So we have 10K resistors and 1K resistors. And I've already thrown away the instructions, so I didn't think I'd need them, but I guess we do. Oh man, I guess I could figure it out, but I'm lazy. Okay, so R1 and R2 are the 1Ks. All right, remembers the color code. Brown, black, red. So I think Christmas should be for fun things. So people know I like toys. And my daughter and her boyfriend bought me, I always wanted one of those driving games that actually has a steering wheel, right? Like Mario Kart, right? With a steering wheel though, not with a joystick. I hate joysticks, I just can't use them. So they got me the wheel, and they bought me Mario Kart. So I've been it's on the Nintendo Switch. So I've been driving. It's kind of fun. When I was younger, I had a Corvette, 1981 Corvette. I used to autocross it, so it's fun to drift your car around turns and stuff. Oops. Yeah, I had a 81 Vet, and it had the Gymkhana suspension if people are into Vet. So it had the racing suspension, very, very quick steering, very, very fast car. It was geared too high though. It was automatic and only had 3 gears. Do 50 in first gear, 100 in second gear, and 150 in third gear. That's all you got. So on the autocross track, I never got out of first gear. And on the drag strip, I never got out of second gear. Let's see, where's my cutters? Well, autocrossing is fun if you've never done it before. A lot of the autocross tracks are set up for small cars, little all small cars, and the Corvettes never really did very good on them. But the Corvette Club would lay out a track that was big, and you could go really fast on it. So the Corvettes would win on that track, but not on the little cars. Didn't stand a chance. One of the best autocross tracks I ever ran was a promotion by Jaguar. And it was at Laguna Seca Raceway. Laguna Seca? Sears Point. It was at Sears Point Raceway. And the Jaguar Club hosted this thing, and Jaguar came, and they were promoting their Jaguar... God, I don't remember the model number now. It was their highest horsepower. It was like 400 horsepower V8. And they had one. Anyway, they were at Laguna Seca. They had an antique race that's fun to go to. And over on the side where they weren't using part of the track, they had set up this autocross track, and if you had an invitation, you could go over and drive the new Jaguar, and it was scary fast. So Jaguars handle really good if you've never driven one. They have great suspension. So this thing had lots of horsepower, 400 horsepower, but the scariest thing were the brakes. Oh my God, the brakes had like 500 horsepower. Oh, they were scary, scary brakes. So anyway, so the cool story is, though, I'd been autocrossing for a long time, and I'd gone to race driving school and stuff, and I could drive. And so I got out on the track, and of course, they're not just going to let, people just drive a 100,000, probably at the time it was like $160,000 car, maybe. On an autocross track and crash it, right? So they bought their insurance company probably said, no, you can't let people do that. You have to have somebody who's responsible in the car. So they got the instructors from Bondurant's school there to co-pilot. so some guys got his day off, so he goes over and sits in the passenger seat while people go putt-putt around the autocross track. And of course, they're bored to death because they're used to going super, super fast. And nobody's going to scare them. Nobody's going to freak them out on a tiny little autocross track. Anyway, so I get on the autocross track, and you got to do a couple laps. And so the first lap, I'm just figuring out the car, right? First time I've ever driven the car, and I'm trying to figure out what it could do, what the brakes could do, and everything. So I zip around the track the first time, but I've got the car kind of got the feel for the car the second time. So the second time around the track, I'm just flying, and they had this really nice. It was like in a figure eight, and they had this one really big turn, right? And I'm just flying it, and I've got it crossed up, and I'm flooring it, and I'm sliding it around this corner, just screaming these $1,000 a wheeled rubber, just peeling off of these tires as I'm sliding around this turn, right? And the kid next to me, this instructor, he kind of perks up, and he looks over at me, and he goes, "Well, there you go." He said it just like that. "Well, there you go." Oh, it was fun. Fun. Drive somebody else's car, yeah. Trash their car. Take your own car on the tracks. You can break them. I would break my Corvette every once in a while. I boiled the heat. I boiled the brakes dry once, so I had to get them fixed up. I broke the motor mounts on drag racing. And I blew up the clutch pack. It had an anti-slip clutch pack on the rear end, and I shattered the clutch pack on my rear end autocrossing. So, but every year I'd have to put about $1,000 into the car, getting it ready again. Yeah. That's what those cars are for. Why else do you have a car like that? My friend sent me a picture of a car the other day, and holy crud, who has the money to buy that car? It was a Porsche GT. Now these are like $190,000 cars, and he had a wrap put on it. So this is really gaudy floral wrap, this really swirly color wrap that they'd put on the car. And supposedly it was a lime green one to begin with, so it was pretty gaudy to begin with. But 500 horsepower Porsche, about $190,000. And so who in the heck has that kind of money? Somebody that we both knew. They had moved over to Apple and I guess got a bunch of stock options. Apple has a tendency to make people buy stupid things. I don't know. I guess if you ever wanted one, you wanted a fast car, and there you go. Otherwise, you're stuck at Apple with no fun to do. So you have to get in your enjoyment quickly, since Apple's always making you work long hours. When I was a kid, that was my dream car, is a Porsche 911. I wanted a 911S, and by the time I could actually afford one, I didn't want one anymore. I just kind of grew out of them. A friend of mine had a 914, those little putt-putt mid-engine cars, little four-bangers in them. Maybe they were, yeah, they were four fuel-injected fours, I think is what they were. When they actually designed the 914, originally they had designed it so that you could put one of the 911 engines into it. The motor mounts were set up to fit a 911 engine. And I guess the company found out that the 914 outperformed the 911s. It was way, way cheaper, and so they didn't want to compete with themselves, so they didn't ever release that car, but it's all set to drop that engine in. So my friend did that. He's got this 914, he dropped a 911S engine into it, and the thing, he's got roll cages in it and everything. The thing is a race car. I mean, it's just super scary, because not only is it super low to the ground, so it feels like you're going fast, but the engine is like, you know, your elbow touches the engine, right? And it's just scary loud and fast, and just a crazy car. All right, there it is. There it is. Focus, whatever. It's got two adjustments too, so we should be able to make it go short, long. I don't know, something like that. We need a battery though. Oh, where's my batteries? I had a battery here. Oh, there's some AA batteries. Let me find a 9-volt. Or do we need a 9-volt? Maybe I'll just use my power supply. I'll just set my power supply here. I'm going to get one of those rally games for the Switch, so I can drive rally cars. That will be fun. See, this is positive, this is negative. Flash, flash. Oh, there it goes. Flash, flash, flash. Should we adjust them? Yeah, there you go. Let's make this one go. Yeah, you can adjust the time of this one, you can adjust the time of this one. So I guess it can teach you about multi-vibrators and relaxation circuits and things like that. So otherwise, it is super, super boring, super, super trivial. Maybe a super, super good first electronic kit. It has LEDs, which is always a good thing. Keeps kids interested with LEDs, keeps me interested. And it does have variable timing, so you could teach them RC circuits if they are intended to do so. And should we see how fast we can make it go? There you go. Oh, look at that. Woohoo! You could have hours of enjoyment out of this. All right. Hope you enjoyed that. I hope next year is better than last year. And I'm now past 1,000 videos, which is absolutely insane. I should probably retire, but it is my hobby, and I wouldn't be doing anything different than I do already. All I have to do is push the record button on the camera. Otherwise, you know, this is what I do. This is my hobby.